Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe before I get started. Subscribe, hit the like button, share, and hit the notification bell. I was watching President Trump this morning. He was talking about the pilots that we got back from the down F-15. And the whole thing is, and this has always been a military thing, and I know this because I'm military, but we bring everybody home. It could be dead. You know, if someone gets killed in a war, in battle, they still bring them home too. We don't leave anybody behind. That's always been the mantra of the military. So when these two pilots were shot down, and apparently they were shot down by a shoulder rocket, a grenade launcher or something, a rocket launcher. And it was a heat-seeking missile. But they both ejected, both pilots ejected. One was picked up on Friday. And apparently they made a beeline, and this is right there in the middle of Iran. And, they got, all they have is troops on the ground. They don't have any rocket launchers, or their Air Force is pretty much decimated, so is their Navy. But they still have troops on the ground there in Iran. And so they were after that pilot. Well, we somehow or another, we had people ready to go. Yeah, and I'll tell you a little about that in a second. But they were ready to go. They went right away. It got one pilot. But the other pilot, apparently, his parachute floated him 40 miles away from the crash site, where they lost the plane. And part of the training is that you get to high ground, even if you're injured, whatever, you hide and you get to as high ground as you can. And then they have these little beacons that they have on their uniform, and when they feel safe enough to use it's like a beeper or beacon is what it is. It's on your uniform, and you alarm it, and then that tells the military. It reads to them where our pilot is down at. But he didn't do it right away. He waited till he got to high ground. He got hidden and everything. But the CIA, they went in and they said, okay, we've got our second pilot already. They went in and lied to him, told him we have him. We're extracting him now from land. They're going to get him to the Strait of Hormuz, I guess, and they're going to take him out by sea. But they already had captured him. The military here, the CIA said this, and it gave our military time to go look for him. Now, it was a few years ago, because like I said, I'm a military guy, and I tell you, this whole thing really excited me. I have never been so proud of our president and what he did this time, and Pete Hegseth and Raising Cane. They did a heck of a job here, but you have to understand, Donald Trump says, this is what we're going to do, this is what we need to do, get it done. And he doesn't tie their hands. He knows they're experts at what they do. And he let them, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, Raising Cane, they all went, and John Ratcliffe, they're not giving him enough credit, I don't think, because he's the head of the CIA, and he's the one that said actually that they were they already got him already. They already lied about it, said that they got him, but they hadn't gotten him yet. So anyway, this what they did here was just so amazing. They said this was one of the most amazing extractions, rescues in the military, and during any era of the military. This was done so precisely, and they got him out. Of course, he was, I guess he got up to 7,000 feet. He hid in a crevice someplace, those trees and everything around there. He hid in a crevice somewhere where he was good and hidden. And then he turned on his beacon. They located him. But the Air Force Pararescue, I'm so impressed with those guys. I have to tell you, I'm a Marine, okay? And my brother's a Marine. I have a brother-in-law that's a Marine. I have three nephews that are in the Army, or were in the Army. And I got two of my sons are Marines. And so I come up from a big military family, okay? So when these kind of things happen, boy, it really just drives it right here in the heart. I tell you, it makes you feel so good and so proud. In fact, I can't understand if it happens at all. I haven't really heard this. But if anybody is not so proud of the president now, what he's done, because this is done by his leadership. He's the one that led the way. And he stayed awake all night long this whole weekend waiting to hear if that other pilot was ever found. So, I mean, he had been on top of the whole thing. And Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, and of course Raising Cane, General Raising Cane, they were leading the way on this. And how can you be a Democrat, Republican, and not be proud of just what the hell they did? I mean, these guys did something so amazing. And, I guess it was, I don't know when it was, 2010, 2012, something like that. I have a son that's Special Forces. He's Force Recon Marine. And so they did a little, what they call surviving the cut. And they did it on Force Recon Marine. They did it on Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, and Air Force Pararescue. Air Force Pararescue. Air Force has, I didn't know that they had special forces in the Air Force. I didn't know that. But they have Air Force Pararescue. They're the cats that went in and caught this guy. How can you not be proud of that? How can you not be proud of President Trump and what he put together and sent these guys out to do their job, what they were trained to do? And they did it. And they did it without losing any lives. Of course, we lost a couple of planes, but that's collateral damage. But we didn't lose any lives. They did this and so you have to believe in this man. This man knows what he's doing. Of course, there's been a couple things, I'm sure, in this military occupation of Iran, what they're doing. They don't want to. President Trump doesn't want to call it a war, and but it's like they're going to go in there and they're going to take apart Iran, because Iran. There's one thing they've said when I was in the Marine Corps, active, 1979 is when they captured those students there in Iran and held them captive for, 400 days. And, of course, President Carter tried to rescue them. The choppers that he sent out got hit in a sandstorm and they all went down. It wasn't not from lack of trying. They had a plan, but it's just a sandstorm. What are you going to do when that happens there? And it just took the choppers out. But that was back in 1979, 79, 80, I think, when the choppers went down. But it's been going on ever since then. And Iran has been, they've been a thorn in everybody's side. Said he's going to kill the big Satan, which is us, the United States, and the small Satan, which is Israel. And then we find out they have ICBM missile that'll reach, some island, the Garcia Island, which actually will reach Europe, France, Spain, Great Britain, possibly. They have ICBM missiles that will reach that far. They can send a warhead now that far if they had a warhead to send. But we stopped that. President Trump went with Midnight Hammer. Was that called Midnight Hammer? When they went in and knocked out all those nuclear sites there in Iran and buried them. And for some reason or other, Iran said they still have 60 units of this 60 grade spun uranium, and they can make actually nuclear weapons out of that. They can make 11 or 12 nuclear weapons out of that. We're taking away their missile capability. They don't have anything that'll reach that far. But then to find out that they do have an ICBM that will reach that far, will reach Europe. So they should be pretty thankful the United States have taken these guys out. And tomorrow night's the deadline. Either they're going to make a deal with us or they're not, and we're going to tear apart their infrastructure, bridges, power plants, everything. Iran and Iran. They said, "What are you going to do about the Iranians, the people that are there?" The Iranians want us. They want us to keep bombing. They want freedom, and at whatever cost it's going to take. The mullahs, their leadership there, okay, they will actually assassinate. I mean, they had a protest here not too long. We've talked about this before. They had a protest. 32,000 people were assassinated. Were just gunned down because they were protesting. You don't think they don't care about their own people? You think they care about us or anybody else for that matter? Iran is this has got to end with Iran and their sponsor of terrorism. It's been going on for 47 years now, and Trump was the first president ever that had the balls to do it. And even there are some other presidents saying they wish they had done it. You know, maybe they were held back by other people pulling their strings. This goes to show you, nobody pulls President Trump's strings. He does what he's supposed to do, he does what he has to do, and he does the right thing to do. And right now, yeah, we're paying more for gas. We're paying more for some goods and services, without a doubt. Inflation still hasn't gone up. I know the Democrats want to say inflation's gone up, but it hasn't. So it's still around 2.5%. But when this is all over with, everything's going to get back to normal. We're going to have a better nation. We're going to have a better country. We're going to have a better world because of what President Donald Trump is doing. And I think, I just heard something. I heard it this morning. I was watching news this morning. They said half of the Democrat Party, if you can believe this, I do to a certain extent, but half of the Democrat Party that are Democrats don't like what their party's doing. But half of them actually believe in President Donald Trump. And if they want to keep this going for the next 2 years, the GOP has got to win the midterms. We have to get the Save America Act. We have to get that passed so we have legal voting for just legal citizens. And I talked a little bit about, in fact, that's what I was going to do today until I saw this about Donald Trump and what they had done to get those pilots out. I had to talk about that. But I do want to revisit the birthright citizenship. There is no birthright citizenship. There is, because the 14th Amendment was set up just for the black people that were born here, that lived here, and this was their country, this was their home. They had to have birthright citizenship. And that 14th Amendment was designed for them. It wasn't designed for somebody to just come willy-nilly. And I guess China has done it. They've been sending people over here, having people having birth here in the United States, getting their birth certificates, saying they were born here in the U.S., makes them birthright citizens. And then later on, when they come back, 18 years old, 21 years old, and they bring the rest of their family with them, they just start bringing their family from that point on. And that's illegal. And that's what Donald Trump is. That's his executive order is partly because of that. And the Supreme Court, I know the Supreme Court has got it in front of him right now. But I think they'll do the smart thing. They're doing like the Supreme Court does. They look at every side and they look at their opinion on every side, look at what works here and what doesn't work there, and so on and so forth. And they have to weigh it all out. Now, there are some people that are saying, well, the Supreme Court is going against us. I don't believe they are. I believe they will believe in Donald Trump and his executive order and follow that, and we won't have this birthright citizenship. But we'll talk about that more some other day. What I really want to talk about is how proud I am of our military and what they've done to get our people. Because that's been the mantra of the military. We leave nobody behind. I don't care if they're alive or dead. We leave nobody behind. And they did. I mean, what they did was this was amazing what they did this weekend. From Friday, they got one guy on Friday, another guy on Sunday, and one's already on his way to Walter Reed Hospital. There's another hospital in Germany. I guess they have one guy there, and he's eventually going to make it to Walter Reed. And when he makes it to Walter Reed, I'm sure President Trump's going to go visit these guys, and I can't wait to see it. I am so proud of what they're doing. And I can't see anybody, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, I can't see anybody not being proud of what the president has done for getting our military guys back, because that's not political, okay? That's our military. That's not political. Now, you got to be proud of your military, like I am. Anyway, That's Coffee Break with Jimmy. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and share. And I will see you next time on Coffee Break. Thanks.